At the hearing on 14 August 209 of the Economic Affairs Committee, which I chair, I directed the executive officials to comply with the law, principally by observing COA audit criteria, and in any event to remove their images from their infomercials by the end of August. Dapat gawin nila at sundin ang sinasabi ng batas. Huwag ninyo gamitin ang pera ng gobyerno at ng taong bayan para mangampanya sa halalan. If there is no objection from our colleagues, I shall proceed to send a copy of this privileged speech to the Ombudsman, the COMELEC, and the Secretary of Justice with my cover letter requesting criminal prosecution against these concerned cabinet officials by October if the executive officials refuse to be educated on the law and continue their mad pursuit of public office by illegal and depraved use of public funds. Mr. President, I am now humbly ready for interpellation.
Anybody wants to interpolate? George Flower there.
Senator Gordon, Mr. President, would like to.
The gentleman for
Interpolate the
Zambales, Senator Richard Gordon,
Thank you very much, Mr. President.
has the floor.
First of all, I'd like to commend the gentle lady from Iloilo for a very dynamic speech on the matter of ethics in campaigning and in the use of public funds, particularly by cabinet officials who are obviously committing a malpractice in the sense that they are using public funds, especially after all the reports that we are really having deficits, really having hunger pains in this country, etc. Now, Madam President, Mr. President, I wonder if the gentle lady was aware of an article that came out in the Daily Star about a few months ago, where they were able to get figures from the television companies on TV airtime.
Yes.
Particularly, if I remember correctly, one Mr. Manuel Villar spent about 321 million pesos on TV ads alone. This does not count promotions, this does not production, this does not count radio ads as well, or for that matter, print ads, as well as the campaigning that is already happening, as we all know. In addition to that, one of our colleagues, Senator Rojas, has already spent, if you are to believe that article, 256 million pesos according to the TV ads reported by the different TV channels. Mayor Binay at that time was quoted as having spent 115 million pesos in terms of television ads, again, Madam President. And 33 million was spent by Mr. Teodoro of the Department of Defense, and 45 million by the Vice President of the Republic of the Philippines. Now, Madam President, I would not normally be talking this way, except that there would appear to be a travesty of the election law as you proclaimed. And I want to point out that I truly support your suit against the COMELEC on the matter of early campaigning. Because after all, there is supposed to be a 90-day period for national officials and a 45-day period for local officials, so that we could actually shorten the period of campaign and at the same time be able to track down all the expenses which must be reported during that period. But apparently, the COMELEC chooses to use a technicality that in as much as this is not the campaign period, anybody can do as they please. Now, prescinding from the civilians who can spend their own money, obviously, with impunity, what I cannot appreciate is the matter of impunity that you just exhibited here. Those are production costs. Isn't that correct, Your Honor?
Right.
Those are just production costs issued by the Commission on Audit. This does not include, for example, the Secretary of Tourism that has been going on a campaign as well on national television, and as well as the GSIS and other entities of the government. Now, we have remained quiet for so long as we feel that the advocacy was indeed proper. But when you talk about, for example, the Vice President of the Republic saying, umutang kayo, pwede nang umutang, and then we find out in the investigation that out of 52,000 people that they have lent money to in the so-called Balikatan controversy, 11,000 of those who borrowed money out of the 52,000 have not paid a single centavo. And about 48,000 after 4 years have refused to pay anymore, Madam President. I would imagine the advocacy should be, pag pinautang kayo, magbayad kayo ng utang para makautang naman yung ibang tao. Pero what is apparently going on is that the Vice President continues to come out with advertising as if to make himself look good and saying, umutang kayo, nakakautang na kayo sa pag-ibig, nakakautang na kayo dito, pero hindi sinasabi kung ano yung mga hindi nagbabayad. And so, to the prejudice of the public, not only from the standpoint of those who can borrow money, but from the standpoint of the money that is illicitly being spent for advertising. Now, Your Honor, is there anything we can do apart from really, I mean, of course, the COMELEC officials can be impeached, but really on the matter of this undue advertising that is being undertaken by many, I would imagine that the Department of Tourism can advocate go to Bohol, and I wouldn't mind if the Secretary of Tourism does that. But when Secretary Duque starts talking about Duque K, it is obviously a campaign ploy already, Madam President. Or for that matter, many of the others who are conducting campaigning is obviously using it really for purposes of election in the coming days. Is there any way we can expand the law right away, or for that matter, file a case against them either for malversation or an anti-graft case, or for that matter, non-FISA or malfeasance in the performance of their duties? Would the gentle lady please guide this her fellow lawyer in this matter, Madam President, Mr. President?
This fellow lawyer is just pretending that he does not know. My concern as a lover of the Constitution is firstly, the state policy enshrined in our Constitution that the state shall provide equal opportunities for access to public service. Dapat pantay-pantay lang tayo na nabibigyan ng pagkakataon na makapagtakbo sa halalan. Paano tayo magiging pantay-pantay kung ang cabinet members nauuna na at ginagamit pa ang sarili nating pera? Di wala nang mahirap na makakatakbo kung ganun pala. Kaya magagawa natin kaagad-agad, maliban sa naturally we'll have to amend election code. Maybe you can do that if many of us return to the Senate.
But can't we
Next
do
year.
judicial statesmanship, Your Honor? Can't the Supreme Court see right through it, or the COMELEC see right through the intentions? That what you cannot do, which the law prohibits on a particular date, you cannot do beyond that date simply because, and you cannot use the excuse that it is outside. Precisely the purpose of the law was to limit the campaign period
Opo.
and to limit campaign expenses.
Bakit pa tayo may campaign ban? Kung pwede naman pala sila mangampanya bago ng ban. Ano namang baluktot na dahilan iyan? The reasoning was this. In the election code, the term candidate is defined as a person who has filed his certificate of candidacy. No one can yet file a certificate of candidacy because it depends on the COMELEC to set the period for filing certificates. So, if no one has yet filed any certificate of candidacy, then no one is yet a candidate. According to the reasoning of my critics, then the prohibition against premature campaigning, which is punishable by disqualification from running as a candidate or from serving your term of office if you have been elected. According to my critics, because of this reasoning, then there is no premature campaigning before the period for filing certificates of candidacy. That is correct. That is one conclusion you can draw from the election code. But I also pointed out to the COMELEC that, by contrast, there is a specific provision in the election code. No person, it does not say voter or a candidate, no person shall engage in premature campaigning because that will be considered an election offense or a crime. So between these two provisions which appear to conflict with each other, the COMELEC chose to be cowardly and instead sided with interpretation that makes it possible for politicians to violate the election code to its face by engaging in premature campaigning. That is why I can no longer criticize, for for example, my fellow senators for engaging in premature campaigning because of the ruling of the COMELEC, which I have elevated to the Supreme Court. But even if the Supreme Court decides in my favor, there will be no more time because by November, we will all be required to file certificates